if your hands aren't strong enough to hold the bar, then that's the weight that you can lift. In other words, you may feel like you can lift more weight if you had different hands, but you can't, therefore that's your limit. So work within your limit. However, there's a second part to this, which is I've identified a weakness. How can I get this weakness to speed up its progress? Or how can I pull up this weak chain in the link, right? And so the way to do this, first off, there's a couple things you could do to improve your grip just because it helps with the bar slipping out. You could try chalk or liquid chalk. So if you go to a gym, they won't let you use chalk. You could buy something called liquid chalk, which most gyms are okay with you using, and it'll make your hands less slippery on the bar. And actually, the studies will show that chalk will add between 2 to 5% more strength to somebody's grip when they're holding on to something. And that's usually enough to make a significant difference. So try that. The second thing is take some volume off of your arm exercises. In other words, take some sets off your bicep exercises and your tricep exercises, and then add some grip or forearm exercises. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is a lot of times people will say, I want my grip to get stronger, and they just add volume or add exercises for grip strength without taking them away from somewhere else, and then they overwhelm their body with just too much overall volume. So let's say you're doing an arm workout, and let's say that day you're gonna do 6 sets for your biceps. Well, you could do just 3 sets, and then do 3 sets dedicated towards strengthening your grip. And there's a lot of exercises that'll help you do this. You could do farmer walks, you could do wrist curls, you could even buy a gripper, and they sell varying degrees of intensity with grippers to where you're actually doing it as an exercise. And then you'll find, like any other body part, it'll start to get stronger and start to catch up.
Yeah. I 100% agree with all that tip. I also found training singles, doubles, and triples did this for me too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've ever done that before because most of our programming is 5 reps, right? So the phase minimum. 1 is a minimum of 5 reps. We don't normally program 3 reps of anything or 2 reps or 1 rep of anything. Not because any other reason than there's high risk for someone who's never lifted before, and so we don't program it in. But I do think there's value in training this way. So what you would do is, like, let's say when you're in a MAPS anabolic phase 1, and instead of doing 5 reps, you might do 2 reps. So pick an even heavier weight and only do 2 reps.
But you're not maxing out though.
You're right. You're just picking a heavier weight than what you could do 5 because now you're only having to do 2. And just the body adapting to holding on to a heavier weight tends to build strength in the forearms and grip strength. And a lot of times when the grip gives out, it's not the first one it gives out on. It gives out on rep 4 or 5. It's like you feel it probably slipping out of your hands, right? And so just you training an even heavier weight.
Getting comfortable with it.
Getting comfortable with holding on to a heavier weight for 1 rep or 2 reps and then setting the bar down. You'll see sometimes your grip strength and I felt that personally the most come up from just simply doing.
We mentioned farmer walks and things like that. We're actually holding something heavy and walking with it. I found to be very, very helpful and translates well when you're trying to hold and grip something, because a lot of times too is like, you're going through the rep and you think it's a short amount of time, but after a few of these reps, it's the endurance part of it where I'm not used to holding something heavy for that long. So that's where the fail point is.
The key to this though will be if you add anything to the routine, like the farmer walks or pinch grip stuff or some of the things that Sal was suggesting, is to make sure that you take away, you replace something else in the workout. Because the mistake I think somebody makes when they're in pursuit of like grip strength is they pile on to their already heavy.
And they overtrain.
Yeah, and then they just overdo it, and then they get weaker sometimes. Sometimes they'll come back and be like, I don't understand. I started doing all these forearm exercises.
Tennis elbow.
Now I can't. Now I can lift less weight. And so the key would be just pulling some things out, some arm exercises out of the routine, and adding in these forearm ones. But I really like the farmer walks, and I really like the suggestion of the singles and doubles and triples. I found that those are 2 big things that help me personally.
Kaylin, just to give you a little personal, just a anecdote that might encourage you a little bit. So I started working out as a kid in my backyard, and very quickly, probably by the time I was 16 or 17, so I was 14 when I started working out. By the time I was 16 or 17, I had learned about a tool called wrist straps, and bodybuilders use these. And what they do is they go around your wrist and then you wrap them around the bar, and basically it holds the bar for you. You barely have to use any grip strength. and allows you to use more weight, et cetera, et cetera. And so because the bodybuilders did it, I bought some. They're very inexpensive. And I always used wrist straps for every back exercise up until probably the age of, I want to say maybe, it was my late 20s, so maybe 27. And then I had this trainer that I worked with who just explained this to me. It's like, you know, our hands are meant to be very strong. And I knew this, you know, kind of on the side because my father worked blue collar work. His hands were always very strong. And I said, yeah, you know, you're right. Like, you know, I've been using these wrist straps. You know, I wonder how strong I can get my hands or whatever. And so I decided, I remember like yesterday, I literally decided I'm never going to use wrist straps again and I'm going to just work out without them. It took me over 2 years for my hands to catch up to the strength that my back and my legs could produce. So it took a long time for my hands to get that strength. So be patient. They will get strong. And again, our hands are just not strong. I mean, aside from working out, when do you really test out the strength of your hands? Probably never. Most people don't. So give it some time and they'll catch up. You will be able to hold on to the weight that you can lift. It won't feel like right now there's this huge discrepancy. You just got to give it some time.